A journey to where nature is at her most magnificent and forbidding. To mysterious places where dazzling and diverse cultures flourish. Where China's numerous ethnic groups draw you into a world of color and vibrancy. Where distinct lifestyles, traditions, and crafts have survived the test of time. Join Travelogue on its 17-part ethnic Odyssey, visiting more than 100 places across China. Ethnic Odyssey, an enlightened look at China's rich ethnic heritage.
In this episode of Travelogue, we embrace the bitter cold and wash it down with some spicy kimchi to give you a taste of life with the Korean minority. Variety of China's landscape, diversity of its people. Welcome to Travelogue's Minority series. Annyeongsayo. That's how you say hello in Korean, and that's going to come in handy for later. We start our journey in a small, quiet, traditional Korean minority village, and we're about to make our journey into their lives. We start our travels at the place it all began. The ancestors of the Korean minority first came to China from the Korean peninsula in the late 17th century. But it was not only until the 19th century that large groups of migrants arrived and settled in northeast China. At first, it was to avoid oppressive feudal landlords in Korea, but later, famine and warfare launched by Japan eventually became the main reason. The Hailanjiang is a place of tribute, and in the old days, the place where Korean migrants first crossed before settling down. And once they settled, they built houses in the traditional Korean architectural style still seen today. More fortunate households would tile their roofs, while the less financially sound would have thatched straw roofs. Personally, though, I think there's a certain nostalgic appeal about a thatched roof. Chances are, if you visit a traditional Korean minority village home, you'll probably spot bunches of red-hot spicy chili drying outside in the sun. The Korean minority has a soft spot for spicy food. I'm not complaining. Kimchi is one of my favorite. But before you can get to the food, you need to find the door in. In these traditional homes, the doors look the same as the windows, so sticking your head in for a peek might prove to be quite the challenge. Once inside a traditional home, don't be surprised if you find tools that date back and large earthen pots filled with kimchi. Another great piece of equipment are the old water pumps that lead directly to the underground wells. The indoor water supply must come in especially handy over winter. These totem poles are pretty hard to miss. In the old days, the Korean minority practiced totemism and ancestor worship. Nowadays, it's more out of tradition than religion, but you'll still see them around. I'm not entirely sure what these structures are, but if it's the same as the Mongolian Albao, I'd best place a rock on the top and make a wish, just in case. Yanbian and the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, also known as North Korea, share a long border. We journey along, and from a distance you can see the border. The land might look the same, but if you look hard enough, you'll see the differences in architecture. It might just be a line, but there is so much significance here. And what better way to capture the moment than with a picture to take home to your family and friends? Whoop, can't go any further. This might look like any ordinary quiet city, but this bridge here in Tumen City is China's East Gate and also the border of North Korea. So if I were to take a couple steps forward, I'd be in a different country entirely. Can't do that. Most of the time, there is only one narrow stream that divides the countries, and from there you can see the other side. People from the two nations, China and the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, can go into the river, but they aren't allowed to go into the other nation's bank. The river is common ground. The same bridge looks different on its respective side. It's so surreal standing in China and being able to see three countries with a sweep of the eye. I've always loved being at borders, the place where two, or in this case, three nations meet, and the cultural influences they have on one another. Not to mention the amazing scenery. If I look down, I see traditional Chinese architecture, and right in front of me, Russian-style homes. They really are close by, and there's a saying here in Fangchuan, a rooster's morning call will wake up your two neighboring countries' villages. It's a slow morning, and we head to Yanji, the capital city of the Yanbian Korean Autonomous Prefecture. It's pretty much like any other small city, but the Korean minority residents here still maintain the same customs and virtues of the villagers with a modern twist. Hello, cutie. It's Grandpa's birthday, and the entire family wishes him good health and prosperity before bowing to show their respect and thanks. Respecting their elders is a custom in the Korean minority, as is loving their children. And for any doting grandparents, it's also an excuse to give the kids a little money for candy. It's not every day that I get to visit and befriend a Korean minority family, so you can imagine how excited I am to get in. Always remember, though, to take off your shoes. You'll probably never see a dirty Korean home. It's customary to keep a clean house, and floors can be swept several times a day. The Korean minority especially loves singing and dancing, and even if it wasn't a celebration or festival like it is today, they would still sing together. And turns out, they start at an early age too. You can see how respected the old people are here. Every year on August 15th in the Chinese lunar calendar, there's a festival called the Day of Older Persons. It Korean tradition, the young are forbidden to drink or smoke in front of elders and are expected to walk behind and give way to the elders when they meet. In a Korean minority family, the eldest son will support his parents forever, and a person who doesn't loses respect in the community. But that's not a worry with this family. Ooh, I'm starving. Time to take a peek in the kitchen and see if I can help get lunch ready. Kimchi is a pickled cabbage spiced with garlics, capsicums, gingers, and chilies. I've never seen it made, but it was a ton of fun massaging the chili paste into each layer of the cabbage. Rice and rice-made foods are staple foods of the Korean minority. The rice dishes are usually complemented with a range of hot and cold dishes, ranging from soup, meat pickles, and my favorite, kimchi. Dakgao is made from powdered rice mixed with water to create a paste. It's then beaten with a mullet to make it more elastic and give it that sticky, chewy texture. It's the men's job to beat the dakgao and to spread out the work. Two men work together. The Korean minority are known for their team spirit, and these two work perfectly in sync to beat the dakgao into the cake paste the Korean minority loves so much. I had a couple of goes, but it's seriously tiring. At one point, I even smashed my finger. But I won't show you my pain here. Okay, it's time to give the mullet back. I'm done with this. The next day, we traveled to the town of Wangqing to meet with a fourth-generation master of elephant trunk hat dance. He tells me that in the past, the hats were made of animal skin, but that has now been replaced